I have a funny story that comes to you from my mom, of all people, actually. But before I get to that, my name is Jonathan. I am the host here at the Venue RX, and I'm also the CEO of a company called Common Sense Events. We manage, operate wedding venues here in Southern California, and this channel's purpose is to document and share best practices for building, owning, operating, managing world-class wedding venues. And so much is taken off of the mistakes that we've made, and then also just things that we're learning, things that we're working on with our team. And the topic for today is something that came up as a result of a sales training. And in fact, I have it on the board behind me. We were talking through our sales process, talking through our follow-up process specifically. And if you own a business in this industry, you know that when someone fills out that inquiry form, regardless of how it's coming through, whether it's coming through in an email, an inbox, or to a CRM system, when you take a look at that first lead that comes in, you're excited. It feels like new business is coming in the door. And especially if you're an owner operator, that's always a good feeling to see that lead. It feels like a mini win, a step closer to actually closing the sale. And far too often though, I see when the client, the person who's reaching out, they're a lead. They're essentially a warm lead because they're not a cold lead. They are aware of what you're doing. They're interested in your product or your service, and now they're interested. They want more information. A lot of us use autoresponders or some form of automation to send information over to the client as quickly as possible. Maybe packages and pricing and any different things that are included as part of our service. So we might send that over. That might be automatic, or that might be something that you manually push out. Especially if you have a sales team as well, they might be utilizing autoresponders or they might not be. And that's one of the things that we found with our team as we were working with them, that even though we had provided an autoresponder, some of the team members were using it and some of the team members were not. So that's something that we are trying to standardize currently. But getting back to the story, so kind of an unrelated story, and you'll see why it relates here in a second, but my mom has this crazy fear that if she drives across the desert, we live here in Southern California, and so there's Nevada and there's Arizona, and sometimes we go visit those places. We'll drive to Phoenix or we'll drive to Las Vegas, and it's about 4 hours, 5 hours, give or take, depending on traffic and things like that. My parents have a Tesla, and they are constantly, anywhere they go, they're trying to map out, okay, how far, how many miles is it going to take us to get from where we are right now to where we're going. And they have to figure out, okay, where's the next charger? Where's the supercharger? Are we going to have enough miles to make it round trip? And most of us do this, whether we have an electric car or a gas car. And, we think about, okay, how long is the journey? Where's our destination? And then do we have enough gas in the tank to get us there? And there's this funny, I think very irrational fear that she has. And Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. But there's this irrational fear that I think she has that, if we go to Arizona or we go to Nevada and we're driving across the desert, the car is going to run out of charge, or the car is going to run out of gas, and we're going to be stuck in the desert, and it's going to get cold, and there's going to be no one there, and eventually we're just going to run out of water and get eaten by wolves and die. And this is what she told me the other day. And it occurred to me that the thing that she's concerned about is the charge, the energy that the car has, or maybe it's the gas that the car has, she has, to get from where we're staying, where we live in Southern California, to where we're going. And it could be 300 miles or 400 miles, depending on where we're going, of course. But she just wants to make sure that there's enough gas in the tank, or enough charge in the battery, I guess, right, to get from one place to the next. Well, this is a perfect corollary over to many of our sales processes. When we are taking the client on a journey, it's important for us to realize that we need to have enough gas in the tank, or we need to have enough charge in the battery to make sure that we can take the client from point A to point B, and point B being that they're booking a product or a service. Now, that doesn't necessarily always mean they're going to be booking a product or service with us. It may mean that they end up going and working with someone who's a competitor of ours, or completely going in a different direction and maybe not using the service at all because of a budget constraint or something like that. But the end result is that the client makes a decision whether they're going to work with us or not. And so we have to be on that journey with them, and we have to have enough gas in our tank or enough charge in our battery to be able to start with them at point A when that first lead comes in and take them all the way to when they make a decision. And so a couple of things that I was noticing is our team was, doing some follow-ups. They were taking a lead, they were excited about it. I was excited about it. We'd see the lead come through in an email, in our CRM system, whatever it may be. And then we'd call, or we'd send them a quick text, or we'd send them a follow-up email, and then we wouldn't hear anything back. So we would, of course, follow up. We would do another call, we would do another text, we'd do another email, and maybe we wouldn't hear. Then we would wait a couple of days, maybe we'd wait a week, maybe we would wait 2 weeks, and then we would follow up a third time. And after that third time, we would assume, after now 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks at this point, we would assume that the client is no longer interested. We would assume that they, maybe chose someone else, that they're ghosting us, that they're not interested in what we have to sell or offer. So then the team was giving up. And we would get all of these leads that would successively go through our CRM system, and they would end up in an archived folder. And so out of curiosity one day, I just grabbed the archived list and I called a couple people on that list. And I would say most of the people that I talked to actually didn't remember who we are. They didn't remember that they made this decision not to work with us. They still hadn't had a decision that they made about, and obviously we're in the venue business, so they haven't made a decision about the venue that they were going to go with. And so it was a great opportunity for me to share and say, hey, just to let you know, we're this company. We actually manage multiple venues, not just the venue that you're calling about. Of course, we'd love to have you at the venue that you're calling about, but it allowed me an opportunity to develop that relationship with the people that I was able to connect to. And I was able to connect with quite a few of them. And what I realized is our sales team did not have enough charge in their battery, enough gas in the tank to take the client from where they were at the lead stage all the way to making a decision point. They quit out on them, right? The journey was 300 miles and they only had 200 miles of charge or 200 miles in the tank. And so they stopped and they died in the desert. And it was this hilarious moment where I connected kind of the two pieces of my mom's fear of, being stranded and running out of water and dying in the desert, and it took that for me and said, wow, that's what's happening with our sales process. We're dying in the desert. We are not appropriately preparing for the journey that we may have ahead of us with this client. Very rarely, I would say, and I'm curious, your experience with this. So if you've had a different experience, let me know in the comments. If you've been told when you're following up with leads, please don't contact me anymore. No more. I don't want to hear from you guys anymore. Not I chose a different venue or I chose a different product or service, but please stop talking to me. Please stop calling me. Please stop texting me and emailing me. You're bothering me. Let me know in the comments, because I feel like for the most part, I know for my team personally, we were never getting that. Our team was never getting a response that was like, hey, please stop talking to us. You're bothering us. They were getting silence. They were getting ghosted. And I realized they weren't just getting ghosted. It was because they're getting bombarded. The client is getting bombarded with so many emails and so much information from so many other venues and so many other vendors as they go through this wedding planning process that we were just getting lost. We didn't have enough gas in the tank to break through all of the noise, let alone actually carry the client to the end, to their destination. So I want to encourage everyone out there today, if you do have some sort of sales process or you're working with your team to have them go through a sales process, make sure you're not dying in the desert. Make sure that you are taking the client all the way through the process, that you are mentally prepared, that you are going to follow up with them, that you are going to call them, that you're going to text and email them. And it's not because you're bothering them, it's because you truly, genuinely care about them. You think you have a fantastic product to offer or a service to offer, and you want to make sure that they are able to take advantage of this before someone else books you, because it's inevitable. You will get booked for those times. It's been a busy year. It's going to be a very busy fall, I know, for most of us. And so, make sure that you're doing what it takes to walk and work with that client and drive that client to their destination point, and don't leave them stranded out in the desert. So I hope this little story and experience of ours that we're having has been helpful, and I know it's something that we're working on. We're not just working on it once, in one training, but we're also working on it constantly. And so if there's any way that I can help you at all, or if you're interested in the follow-up process that we're using and how we follow up with clients, I'd absolutely love to know that as well. So you can either send us an email at thevenuerx@gmail.com, or you can also just type it in the comments. We read the comments, we get back to them. And so I appreciate your time and attention on this video and this show, and we will see you in the next video.